Hi, everybody. Looks like everything is working. Let's make sure this is day 1117. 1117 days since Richard went missing from the barracks on a very, very supposedly secured military installation. So they say, but there has been security breaches. There has been so many security breaches. And now, every day is breaking news. We have breaking news again today. And I don't even know if I can tell you. It is getting, let's make sure that I can get on. These police, police reports, yeah, um, needing, needing victim services. Okay. Police reports, um, in the Hart family that require the El Paso Police Department to offer victim services, a victim services case manager for victims of family violence and sexual assault, offering counseling for, I'm going to say it again, family violence and sexual assault. And this is we have a pile, okay? What we're giving is just the tip of the iceberg because we're trying to be protective. And today, okay, let's. I'm getting ahead of myself because we have so much breaking news. Um, make sure that I'm on, that you can see me, that I can answer your questions. Okay, and all of this documentation. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Danielle. I can see you now. Thank you, Anicia. I can see you. Danielle already has a question. They just need to face their faults, quit playing evil games, and give Richard Halliday and family justice 100%. Um, they absolutely have a long history, very long history, generational history. Okay. And that's why I've tried to just keep with Richard's case because, our objective is to find Richard, to get justice for Richard, to get the authorities to give us our son's remains. That's our objective, okay? To come clean about our son, Richard Halliday. That's our objective. This is not about the Hart family, us trying to expose them and all of that. That's really, but see, because we are the chief investigators and that the Hart family is absolutely involved with getting Richard's remains, getting justice for Richard, finding out what happened to Richard, and also for what Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe told us, right? He told us that the leadership has to be driven to do the right thing because they won't just do it. And of course, we have lots of evidence of that he was right because we have so many conflicts of interest. We have a criminal syndicate, right? Pay for play everywhere you look. You have fraud everywhere you look. You have the um, survival of the fittest wherever you look. And it is very sad that people at high places, that some of them haven't taken the oath that we found out from, I think her name is Ann Vanderbill or Vander. Anyway, I should have put up the video that the news feed that she put up, saying that look at, and she named all these top officials, including the head of the Department of, well, Austin, right? Austin. Department of Defense, right? Austin. What's his first name? General Austin. Anyway, she names him, that he did not take the oath of office, that he did not swear allegiance to defend the Constitution. Is that right? I don't know. I don't know. But I'm just like, that is, it would not, um, I don't want to say it wouldn't surprise me, because it did, but it would not, it would just fit what's going on right now, right? It would just fit. So back to the Hart family. Because we are the press, we are the media, we are the chief investigators, we are trying to get justice. So does that make us JAG? Right? We're trying to, all the paperwork, lay down the case for them to give us justice. And one of the things that we're trying to do is to reach out to Major General James Eisenhower. And I had another method on the table, that we were going to go down. You know, we had decided that we were going to write certain letters to do certain things, and we have kind of tabled that for right now. So there's so many fronts to this, and it's so dynamic. It's it's changing all the time, because we're getting more and more information in, that now we're going to plead again our case to Major General James Eisenhower, because yesterday we received a response from him that was positive. And, you know, I don't think that he has any options anymore. Maybe he needs something from us. Maybe he needs one more. We've given him so much evidence, but maybe he needs something from us. And maybe that is popular support. Um, Maybe that is community support. So we really need to, we've been writing him constantly, but if you're out there and you can write Major General James Eisenhower, we're making sure that he has everything, right? That he has everything he needs. And to, one, open up, well, he's already investigating, but to, I guess, publicize it, right? To publicize that they're investigating. And two, to rescind the ban on our key witness, our officer of the court, from accessing Fort Bliss, because there was no notice. There was no chance of self-defense, because there was no notice. And there was no investigation into it, meaning there was no packet. And, you know, we have made our case for that. But the incident that was orchestrated, and it was orchestrated by KTEP, and it was orchestrated by Miss Kacherga. And it was orchestrated, from what our intel is giving us, from an attorney, working with James and Leilani Hart to um, work with the JAG inside of Fort Bliss to ban our key witness, to obstruct justice, obstruct his ability to get more answers. But we're finding a way because we have an alliance within Fort Bliss, and that's where we're getting the intel. But why do we have to do it like this? Major General James Eisenhower should do the right thing for Richard's sake, for Fort Bliss, for our military's sake, for our service members' sake, for Fort Bliss's sake, for the El Paso community supporting Fort Bliss and the military's sake. He should have Richard 6. He should allow this investigation that we have mountains of information. We have here an El Paso Police Department victim service outreach to help victims of family violence and sexual assault. That's very important. That's very important when you know that it comes at the heels of police reports of things getting so out of hand. I'm going through the papers. Isn't that who used to do that? Ruffle the papers. Because I want to get to the main police report. My gosh, y'all. We have weapons. This is all about weapons, what I'm going through. Because of the weapons used on Richard. Here it is, an incident report. So this was called because there was a family disturbance. Now, this, oh my goodness. Okay. So you have a family disturbance. You don't call the police because you're just having an argument. Okay? Something got out of hand at the Hart family. And they called for family disturbance. And it says here, victims and offender are still married. I just can't, I just want everyone to understand that the paperwork we're getting also has names. And this was such a big cover-up, y'all. From an attorney that has a sister that has connections. With someone, everyone, if I said it, all of you would know and you would be like, oh my gosh. But I don't know if I should. I have to think, and I have to, talk to my husband about this. Should we say the name of the attorney? But we would like a response back, We would like responses back from the authority, and we're not getting the responses back. We did get it back from General Eisenhower. And so this is why we hesitate, because we have these requests in, because there is something called privacy and trying to make sure that people have notice, that people can defend themselves. And I have been giving Dallas Hart notices for a long time. And we have now, we have evidence about Delta Battery 143. We have evidence. And I don't know why they find it necessary to to keep lying without producing, uh, you know the other thing that's very clear in the history of their cr- criminality. They have a history of crime, y'all. This is like a crime family. All right? This is a crime family. And I don't say that in a judgmental way. I don't say that to try to hurt anyone. I'm saying they are involved in my son's forced disappearance and presumed murder. And they are absolutely involved. There's no doubt about it. There is a consistency in all of the evidence, a consistency in all the evidence that points to them being involved, that points to Richard presumably being murdered, and that Van Buren Avenue has something to do with it. Okay? And absolutely Tavita Nusa has something to do with it. And absolutely the Hart family has something to do with it. And they have gone to the extremes. And being a crime family, when you're a crime family, it's not just the sexual criminality. That's a huge part of it. And that's why behind me, you see right behind me, let me point properly, at Theodora. And of course, beside her, you don't see it in this video, is Justinian. I painted that before Richard went missing. Okay? And I'm not finished painting it. I want to finish painting. I have a lot of hobbies, a lot of aspirations of my own that I would love to do. For 3 years, my duty has been to Richard. Um, because this crime family, when you're a crime family, it's not just the sexual stuff, okay? It's property, it's loans, it's how to manipulate um, the monies, the benefits to work the system. You know, crime families know how to work the system. And they know how to bribe people. They can, let's say they bribe you with a job. Look, if you keep your mouth shut, we'll give you a job at the VA. Right? Um, who does that pertain to? I don't know. I don't know. I have an idea, I think, but if if you write this letter, maybe you'll get a good loan. If you This was a planned out, premeditated attack on Richard. Okay? That's what crime families do. It's not just the heat of when you have that much history and that much to cover up, even generations, then you start planning. You always are planning ahead because you always know that you're going to need to cover something up. And I hope that makes sense. And that's why they absolutely knew that the officer of the court was a danger when he is a key witness. They scrubbed him from Richard's file, and we have that on record and a confirmation from Special Agent Howell that they scrubbed Richard's file of the key witness. They also sanitized Richard's file. So, how is this happening? Who has access to Richard's file? The VA. Who is the point of contact for the CID at the VA? It couldn't be James Hart because that's a conflict of interest. Even though he works right there and has access, he would have access to Richard's complete file. But it wouldn't be him because his wife is a suspect. His son is a suspect. He now has criminal charges against him in Richard Halliday's case. Criminal complaint. Sorry, not charges. Criminal complaint against him from us for harassment, for intimidation, for threats. And then we added on the concerns about the immigration, knowing about some kind of faulty thing in the immigration status of his wife. So we have, oh my gosh, it's so hard to talk about this because we shouldn't be the ones talking about it. The PAO for Major General James Eisenhower should be the one talking about this. They should be making these announcements. They should be making these arrests. But I'm telling you, we have names in these documents, and it's like this is a treasure chest of evidence, and I have to, or a mine, a gold mine, right, of evidence, and I have to go mining. I have to go through it with Team Find Richard Halliday, go through it and look at everything. And, I'm not a legal mind, but yet I've had to learn it, talk to people, go through it, say, is this something? And who is this? And who is this? And I'm going to tell you, we've come in contact with friends with benefits. Friends with benefits and in positions that could absolutely tamper with Richard's file, that absolutely could tell us what happened in Richard's case, absolutely could obstruct justice, absolutely could commit forgery and fraud, and participate with the cover-up, deny us due process. I mean, I could go on and on. And there are so many people that know what happened to Richard, and they're not coming forward, y'all. Why? Because just in the allegations of the notarized allegations, the criminal complaint confession by Leilani Hart, there were 3 deaths. 3 deaths. We even had our casualty assistance officer. Yes, we had a casualty assistance officer who also died. Um, and there's others. And so even $150,000 reward has not been enough for members of Delta Battery 143. Okay, because they absolutely know. They absolutely know. We have evidence that they know. And $150,000 for even a specialist, even when you retire a specialist, is not enough to do the right thing. Even remember, for the longest times, we were giving immunity. We were making sure legally through the JAG that we could give immunity. We don't feel that way anymore. They absolutely know. And Kacherga, Miss Kacherga, Angela Kacherga of KTEP, of El Paso Matters, she interfered. She participated in the interference, the obstruction of justice in our son's case. She did. Seemingly, it appears so. It appears so that she has done that. But Delta Battery 143 has connections with the Hart family. And we maintain, Team Find Richard Halliday, maintain that Dallas Hart was a member of Delta Battery 143 ADA. Okay? Now, I'm sure that he was whatever. You move around a lot in the military. But where are the orders? Where is the platoon leader for Richard? We maintain that he was a member of Delta Battery 143. And, the lengths that the command that we know was up to no good, is up to no good. Hopefully, Major General Eisenhower, please write him and say, stop it. Stop this wave of criminality. The whole culture of criminality on Fort Bliss. Please stop it. Do the right thing. Because what does he need? We want to give him whatever he needs. We have been saying that to the Army from the beginning. What do you want us to do? How can we help? What do you want us to do? You have to bring us leads. Okay. You've got to bring us more leads. We can't do anything without you bringing us more leads. Bring us more leads. If you bring us more leads, then we'll do something, but otherwise, we can't do anything. Call 911. Call 911. We were actually told that to call 911. Yeah. Um, when you are a criminal family, I think things get very premeditated. Everything is um, always having to be covered up because everything is a lie. And so they absolutely have made their connections. Um, and they've taken advantage of the system. They've taken advantage of our soldiers, our service members. The the main, and I put some notes right here because it's been such a crazy day. Um, saying here the consistency, the intent, the consistency is all there, and it leads us to, a place we don't want to be, that we never wanted to be, and that is the premeditated murder of Richard. So, um, this letter here, October 16th, 2020, that would be after we were there. Um, but another letter that was written earlier on March 7th, 2020, which is a very telling letter. Um, why did they feel the need in the midst of these police reports, a long history of police reports, and then all of a sudden there was this orchestrated cover up starting even before, in my estimation, before Richard ever went missing? And so that's where we have uh, uh, gotten some extra proof. And I know I sound a little confusing tonight because it's so hard to talk about this and not spit out the names, not spit out all the details, just to give a little hint to the Hart family, to Major General Eisenhower, that were willing to give, to answer. What does he need? And he needs to tell us, what does he need for this to really open up the doors of Fort Bliss to uncover what happened to Richard and where his remains are. That's the bottom line. We want to know. And by doing that, we have to release some tips, weapons with sharp edges, letters dating in March 7th, 2020, letters dated October 6th, 2020. This is before and after, and the notarized criminal complaint affidavit. So, you have to read through the in between the lines here if you're not part of a criminal family. If you're not, you have to, I guess, uh, trust that we're trying to protect. There's just that criminal complaint affidavit was so heartbreaking, and I wanted to redact so much of it, but I think I almost redacted too much because that's how they get away with crime and crime and crime is they redact, 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 redact. And I think then we can't face the level of conspiracy, the level of collusion, because this involves Park University. Okay, this involves Park University. This involves, of course, the command. This involves the VA because the VA has access. We have known that people were getting leaks out of Richard's file, that they knew things about even my husband's life. They went into my husband's file. And you know what they saw? Because everyone knows this. Because if they had one bit of dirt on my husband and his 30 years of honorable service, they would have smeared us because the vile and vulgar messages that we were receiving for months daily absolutely confirmed that they had access to our life. And they were twisting it to be them, you know, the history of the pedophilia. I mean, twisting our beautiful adoption of our sons and trying to do a psyops on us about that. Trying to do a psyops on Richard. You see the pictures and what they were trying to do with him, the smearing of him. This is a military operations because it's coming out of Fort Bliss. And we believe at this time it was coming out of the VA because the VA has full access. This is major crime. A major crime. And so if they are willing to commit these kinds of major crimes to leak out information to people that want to do us harm, that want to, because those vile, vulgar messages daily for over 3 months was to intimidate us, was to harass us, was to threaten us. And now we have James Hart coming out of the closet, out of the closet. And it put two and two together. Oh, it's the VA. It's the VA. Is there anybody else in the VA? Yes, there is. Yes, there is. You think that a criminal family doesn't cover themselves with the identity of other people and the ability of other people, the manipulation of other people? That's why we had to put in the criminal complaint against James Hart because he has a position where he could easily manipulate soldiers because of the disability board. And because of what we know, the masterful art of manipulation in a criminal family to manipulate paperwork, to manipulate people, to manipulate finances, to tamper with files, to tamper with loans, to tamper with witnesses, to tamper even with the remains of a victim, to tamper, a criminal family. Um, it's like there's no bounds. And where is the vetting? So that's, and I meant to even start with that. Where is the vetting? Because I don't go through and try to look at people's backgrounds. But now that we are the chief investigators of Richard's case and we know that Leilani Hart's confession is part of Richard's file, is part of Richard's case, then we have to say, okay, who are these people? What did they want with Richard? What did Richard know about them? And it's very simple to get the background. It's very simple to see the allegations and allegations and allegations because they, have a long history. And you do a little more digging and you get the police because we even have the Hawaiian. But so because Leilani Hart had to do community service, right? Um, where is the vetting? Because if a little mama, if a little team find, well, we're a big team now. We are big team find Richard Halliday. We've learned in these 3 years how to investigate. I, not by our own choice, but because they made us. They made us do it because they refused to do their duty. They refused. We can't even get Judge Robert Shook to give us the open records request of, to relieve us if they didn't find Richard's remains, then there won't be anything in that open records request about Richard's remains. And that would relieve us. But you see, they don't share that with us. And we absolutely know that something was going on at Park University. And that means it involved Thomas Kane. That means that it involved Ann Ogle. That means it involved Anna Whitehead. That means, and I don't know how they were involved, but why don't they respond to us? I mean, we're 1,117 days and never a call saying, oh yeah, I have some information that might help you. Because absolutely it involves Park University, which, is really needs to be investigated, needs to be reported because they get all kinds of benefits and privileges, and they have two things they have to do, and that is to keep our service members safe on the park footprint, the Park University footprint there on Fort Bliss, and to give them a quality education. And somehow I think it's tied to Richard's complaints. Okay, CPS complaints tied to Park University? I don't know. CID complaints tied to Park University? But we know that the CID is compromised because of Marlon Soto and Ron Stieg and Jay Pollan being friends with Ron Stieg and Tavita Nusa having an affair with Lonnie Hart. And then we have James Hart in the VA with friends with benefits, and we have the command that, Clem Coward, you know, does he have a friend with benefits? Um, why did he give the Gomar? What about Roddick? What's going on with that? Then we have, of course, the CPS and the CYS and in charge of these children, the health and welfare of children. And then we have the emergency intake center, not knowing we're over. Well, we're hearing it's 100,000 now, but let's just say, be safe, 85,000 unaccounted for children. What? And who have I forgotten? The IG. The IG. And now we find out, absolutely everyone knows that there is a conflict of interest because Lieutenant General Donna Martin is in charge of IG. She was at the staged Task Force 5 Richard. She led the staged Task Force 5 Richard Halliday under the order of McConville, General McConville. And General Garrett just, oh, well, I just wish you the best. That was his involvement for his soldier. But there's another conflict of interest in the IG. And then, of course, let's not forget the MP. If I was in charge of the MPs, if I was an MP on Fort Bliss, I would be mad as hell for using the guard mount to launch an unjust smear campaign on a fellow soldier and to try to hypnotize law enforcement. Our volunteer sons and daughters that serve as MPs, to try to hypnotize them, to try to pull a military operation on them, to pull asymmetric warfare tactics on them against one of their own soldiers. That's what happened. That's what happened. And if I was an MP, it's like, geez, with leaders like that, who needs enemies, right? With leaders like that at the guard mount, who needs enemies? I would be so upset. I'd go to the IG, but the IG is compromised. But if enough go to the IG, maybe they will be driven to do the right thing. So this is, I don't know how to say this any different, but that this was an organized criminal, consistently criminal, severe and consistent enterprise that has breached all kinds of security. I mean, my goodness, it involves Thomas Kane. Um, it involves McConville, Garrett, Sean Bernabe. Sean Bernabe. Oh my gosh, Sean Bernabe. Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe over there at Old Fort Hood, now Cavazos. Absolutely. Um, I don't know. Well, they gave him a third star. They gave him a third star. There is so much bribery and no honor. There is so much disloyalty and no esprit de corps. They're leaving our soldiers behind for their own gain. And I'm very 100% sure of that. Very sad to say it, but that's the way it is. And so if you have some time, write Major General Eisenhower, James Eisenhower, the commanding general of Fort Bliss, and remind him that he, hopefully, he swore, hopefully, he took an oath to defend the Constitution. That he has a legal obligation to care for his soldiers, the security of Fort Bliss, and all of the service members and their families and the civilians that are on that installation. And I know that he is what he's facing. I know because I know the lawyer, and the lawyer will shock you. Because the lawyer was involved in another very big case that you all know. Just like Judge Robert Shook presided over Asia Graham's case with Christian Alvarado, which, keep that in mind. Things are not, we always go back and say, why wasn't Richard telling us? I don't even know if he knew. I don't think he knew. I think he knew that things were bad. I think he knew that he was being retaliated against, but I think his I think he was also totally shocked by the amount of corruption that surrounded him. Absolutely surrounded him. I mean, he couldn't go to the VA. He couldn't go to the CID. He couldn't go to the IG. He couldn't go to the CPS. He couldn't go to Park University. He couldn't go to Thomas Kane. He couldn't go to his chain of command. He couldn't go to the MPs. He tried. And I think he had no recourse. And they retaliated against him continuously, consistently, and severely. And he did a remarkable thing. He stood firm. Even that last video that I have where he's crying, Richard didn't cry, y'all. For him to cry, I think they did break him to an extent. but they didn't totally break him because that's why they had to kill him. Because he would not bow to the hat. He would not sell out his soul. So it did something really remarkable. And you have to remember how young. How young. And I don't think that this criminal family and that the Hart family is a criminal family, okay? Seemingly, apparently, over and over, over and over, over and over. Oh, geez, I got another pile on the floor. Um, I don't think that they understood that a family um, I don't know, could be as happy as we are, could be as happy as we were, and we were. And they've dug and they've dug and they've dug and they've dug. And all they can say is, well, I'm just sick and tired of this now. Really? 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 You're just sick and tired. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, if you have a minute, write Major General Eisenhower and ask him to first and foremost lift the ban off of our key witness, and he knows exactly the obstruction of justice and the denying due process. Um, and we're going to, you know, we're going to reach out again and ask him, okay, what else can we give you? What else? What can we do for you so that you're able to do this? And I'm hoping that those two things, we're hoping, Team Farm Richard Halliday, we're hoping that those two things will will at least be the key to opening up those doors of Fort Hood to Fort oh my gosh, Fort Bliss to us. Yeah. Do you know that we were married on Fort Hood? Rob and I, yeah. So just a little over 35 years ago, we were married on Fort Bliss. No, Fort Hood. Sorry. On Fort Hood in Killeen. Yeah, and that's where Hannah was born. Hannah was born. I was teaching school in Killeen. That's how I met Rob. Um, I had a really wonderful coworker. Her husband was a PA, and we would eat our lunch together in our classrooms. She did pre-K, and I was a kindergarten teacher, and we would be, cutting and preparing and everything for our lessons while eating lunch. And she arranged a blind date, and that's so we went out in March. We got married in August. In August, same year, just a few months. And yeah, that's 35 years ago on Fort Hood. And so to hear all of the terrible things about Fort Hood is it's so sad because that was a very, very happy time for us. And of course, the Gulf War started soon after that. We were in Germany, and he was deployed for, you know, PAs. They're always deployed, 18 months at a time. I remember during the Gulf War, Hannah was, baby, 5 months old, and then he comes back. She's 2 years old. Um, he had some R&R in between. I think a week of R&R in there. So, and why am I telling you this? I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why. I guess because our anniversary is was on our mind. Um, but if you have some time, write the general. And thank you so much. Let me see if you have any questions. Sorry, it's been a long day, and I know so much, y'all, and I can't tell you, and maybe that's why I'm talking and talking. Because I wish I could just tell you everything, and not that I know for sure some of the things that I would like to tell you. Most of the important things we know for sure, but there's like little nuggets, and it would be so great to get feedback. And that's why General Eisenhower is so important, because he would open up all of that, and we could actively put it all out there on the table. They hide, hide, hide. I think they are just using your leads to try and hide more evidence, in my opinion. Not exactly, yeah. Did she witness Richard being hurt, and that's why she put in the complaint the day before Richard Halliday's official day? Yeah, and I'm going to tell you what I learned today. This was going on. This connected it earlier. This connected things earlier, in my opinion. Okay? So it connected Leilani Hart to earlier. So that makes Leilani Hart's affidavit, notarized affidavit, make more sense why that would be part of Richard's case. Because the evidence we received, um, that, you know, you receive all this intel, and then you have to go through it and go through it. Um, that really, it it puts Leilani Hart in the picture much earlier than the 22nd of July. 22nd of July was just a response. It was just a response. So if he can manipulate his entire family according to allegations, he could be capable of hurting others, in my opinion. Oh yeah, let's not forget, there is a history. We have a history here. This is from, was it this is from 2019. So this is from 2019. We have as earlier than that, um, where there is fear. There's allegations of abuse. Okay? And it gets pretty nasty. And then, of course, everyone read the allegations and the affidavit, where you wake up and you have a gun to your head, right? Um, you're threatened with your immigration status. You're seeing that weapons are being purchased illegally, and that weapons are all over the place, um, that are illegally in possession, right? Where's the vetting, right? Where's the vetting? Because we, my husband, oh, I don't want to give too much information, but you've got to do things right. You must have a lot of connections in order to be so brazen to think that you can be a veteran, a retiree, and work at the VA and buy weapons illegally and have them in your home and then have a crazy things happen where you're bringing police in, right? Um, wow. And no wonder the cover up has to be so bad that they really had to hurt Richard. Whatever, what, they just could not handle it getting out. And there's so much there for Richard to have reported on that we don't know what he reported on. Because was it the sexual abuse? Was it the physical abuse? Was it the illegal weapons? Was it the all of these relationships? Was it the fraud? Was it financial fraud? Was it at work fraud? Tampering? There's so much there in all of this that, you know, we we really do need the CPS complaints and the CID complaints to know what Richard was complaining about, because it could be so many things. And of course, drugs are involved. Of course, trafficking children is involved. All of that. Yeah, one you don't even want to know. So, thank you so much, everybody, for sticking with us. And especially when I have one of these nights where I really don't know how to explain what is happening behind the scenes. I can tell you this, that we are being threatened, that we are being intimidated, that we are being harassed, that we have been for many years from the beginning of this, and it has been from inside Fort Bliss. It's outside too, but mainly from inside. And that's why we need General Eisenhower to do the right thing. And I hope that he cares about his legacy. I hope that he cares about his service members, right? I hope he does. So, okay, everyone, thank you so much. And if you have time, write him. If you have time, write the media. If you have time, write your representative, your senator. There is a security breach. There is so much wrong at Fort Bliss that we do need to do something. And I remember this, and I'll leave with this. I was going to talk about the ambulance down in the valley, but I will leave with this. To pray is to do, and to do is to pray. That was a Bible study I was in years ago, and I think it changed my life, because to pray is to do, and to do is to pray. And so it is kind of like faith without works is dead, right? That's kind of faith without works is dead. So if we want changes, if we want justice for Richard, we have to drive them to do it, because that's a peaceful way to do it. And we want to do it in a peaceful way. We drive them with the evidence. We drive them with the pleading. We drive them with the letters. We drive them with, the camaraderie of the community coming together, surrounding Richard and demanding justice for Richard. That's how we do it. And that's how we do it in a peaceful way. And that's what we're attempting to do. So, okay, thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing.